Welcome, everybody. It's good to hear from you or see you. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff. Intelligence has been in the news. It's been around recently. We've been wondering how can we use this. Everybody's looking to do better, get more information out to clients, customers, and get better inspections. So hopefully this does that. As we go through this, a couple um, uh, things here. Some of these slides have a whole lot of information on them. You're not going to read it all. If you want that information, just let me know, and there's my email, and I can send you the slide. But I'll point out the highlights of that. So first thing, talk about what is artificial intelligence, or also known as AI. To it, it's a program. That's really what it is. Uh, we're working on it with. We're going to be using words, but it can do a lot more. All right. And in the background of that, it's linear algebra. I've been told that's doing all that, and it's picking what's the next word that it can find and think is useful to you, based on models. And I used two when I was making this presentation and have some examples of those in there. Chat GPT and Bard by Google are those two. Over here on the side, you can see there's a lot of AI out there, and they do different, right? So, the one for Tesla or Intel are going to do different things than what we're going to use it for, but they are out there. I asked, how do I explain AI to my grandparents? Just picking somebody that may not have heard it or know exactly is, and it's telling me it's a big computer and it's using the information that it has out there to learn. Big question is, how is artificial intelligence going to affect us as home inspectors? We've seen technology on the rise for the past number of years, with photography, thermal images, drones, crawlbots. Really, I don't think until we get droids that can do what these guys over here do, C3PO and R2D2, that we're going to be worried or locked out of being home inspectors. I think there's parts that we can use it for, and I think there's parts that other people will use it against. I'm going to say against us, use my air quotes there. That will, but I think it's going to be a long time before we're losing our jobs. Bits and pieces, but the thing is, these models that the AI use have to be trained. And it's very, very expensive, millions and millions of dollars to train the model. So, when we're being paid $400 or so for a home inspection, you can get a whole lot of home inspections in there with a human for what it costs to do that, to train the model. And the information is only as good as the model. If you put in trash information or you don't have enough information, then it's not going to work. With this, there's some real cautions. The AI has a lot of information, but it doesn't know what to do with it. And so that's one difference that people have over the model. I'm also going to say, read everything, and I'll show you examples of this, because you're responsible for what's in your report, and you're responsible for what's not in your report. You all know that, but don't rely on what the AI comes up with in order to do it. I'll tell you, have your legal documents reviewed by a lawyer. Don't let your AI write it. And the other big problem here is AI has no intuition. I mean, think how many times have you walked into a room or a house and said, something's not right here. You know it when you walk in. You can feel it, but you don't know what it is until you get into it, or you look behind the. You go into the next room and you look behind the wall or whatever it is. Um, so there is definitely a downfall on AI with that. So being good, paying attention, using all of your senses is going to be much more important than anything that a computer program is going to come up with when it comes to doing the inspection. Um, so in order to get information out, you have to put something into the AI system. So it's the prompt. How do you prompt it? Um, Old adage, garbage in equals garbage out. Same thing here. If you don't write a good prompt, you're not going to get a good response. We'll look at some prompts, but over here on the side are just some examples that I said, what's the salary range for a prompt engineer? Some of these are $300,000. One in here in the middle is lists for about $59,000. Some of these jobs are computer engineers. Some are more lay people. So there is a wide variety. If anybody is tired of being a home inspector, that might be your next one, next career. All right, let's look at some prompts here. Some of this information is from AI. What's the best kind of prompt? Prompt for a Google search is going to be different than for an AI information, but they both still want some clear information. With AI, you can be more descriptive and more of what you want for that desire. You can put some of that context in there. Large information, more information it has, the more information it can give you back, or the narrower the response can be that it gives you back. So don't read all of this, but kind of get the idea. Here's some effective for writing prompts. Identify your purpose, be specific, provide that contextual information. Are you looking for something in a house? Are you looking for to write a blog post? So the difference between writing a blog post and writing a response to a defect are going to be different, and you should let it know that. Use clear, concise language and proofread your prompt. Everything you do, please proofread, proofread, proofread. You never know what it's going to give you. And here are some other examples. And we'll look at some different things here with that. All right. First thing I tried was write a presentation for me, include some shortfalls when I do that. It didn't want to do that for me. But I can take that same kind of idea and different prompts. So how is AI useful? Include those shortfalls, a way to improve. All right, so it comes up here. AI is good for automating repetitive tasks. If you're doing the same thing over and over, this is where like the actors are worried about being phased out, because you can take that picture, change it a little bit, and make the next picture. So it's great for doing that instead of having a person come in every time and do the same thing, just a little bit different, a little bit different. Improve efficiency, productivity, personalize your experiences here. And this is something that I would really like to be able to use over the next couple of years, try to figure out how to use that to write follow-up letters to clients or customers. From the report, something something personal, and come up with a better letter, uh, and make it not seem exactly like a form letter. Uh, and also gaining insights from data. We're probably not going to we're not going to deal with that tonight, but and as a home inspector, probably not going to do that. Um, your big data is going to be more for your medical records type thing, and I would also say for us using these models, either GPT or Bard, that information is going to be out there on the web afterwards. And so I would be very hesitant to put clients' data into this and um, not expect bad side effects results from that. And I would say talk to your lawyer about that. I don't know, but I can see both the good and the bad from that. Some problems with AI is it has bias. So if you give it bad information, it's going to come out with some bad data. And we don't really always know how it works. Sometimes you put in one thing and it comes out with a good answer. Sometimes you put in very similar and it'll come out with a different answer. It's kind of a black box of what's going on in the back there. And we talked about a little bit of the security with that, so be careful there. Some things to help it work better for you: use good data, use good prompts, and you will come out with better stuff. These are kind of some AI things in general that don't really apply to us in what we're going to be most likely doing. I was very surprised when it came out with this statement down here: in the domain of home inspections, AI could be trained in a large data set. This would allow the system to identify common defects and potential problems. I'm thinking it's going to be a while before a whole inspection could do this, but looking at specific things, there's a good chance that it could be useful to you. But we're going to find out in ways to go. And I think it will eventually work our way in. But it's going to be a while. And I think that's going to be more on the either your report writing home software, maybe have a checklist that if it sees this, have you looked at A, B, C, and D? But we'll just have to see where that goes. Or big companies. I could potentially see the large franchises having something to do with something like that. Whereas the one and two man shows probably are not going to invest in that kind of thing. There are some defaults or some problems with it. So if you ask, what are all the problems in an electric panel? All right. It's going to come up with a couple different things. What is it? This came up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is just half of them. All right. Here's some things. Yeah, and these are things you're going to find in an electric panel. Here's and some other things, but just out of that list, I think it lost a couple that were important or more to the code. Duplex breaker location, undersized wires for breakers. Is the did somebody replace a that used to have a 40 amp breaker and now it only calls for a 25 amp breaker? So those were not in that list of things. So don't expect the AI to catch everything at first, especially now. let's look at some examples, and these are probably the two places where we're going to use I that I foresee myself using, and most likely you all most likely. And if I show you an example on the report on the statement side, it kind of carries over to the social media side also. Back, same thing back and forth. Um, and some go through some principles with that too. So here's an example problems with CSST. It came up with some ideas. All right, lightning strikes, corrosion damage. Um, in my area, I think I've seen one bit of CSST outside and not underneath the house. Um, so corrosion generally isn't something that I see, but it's a possibility. Um, damage from rodents and pests. That's a little, and other animals, I see that kind of being a little redundant, to put in your report. But if you don't like the standard state thing, you're not going to get that. Um, here are some risks that I came up with. Um, I asked what's the home inspectors required to write in Virginia, and it wouldn't come back with that. That's more of a Google thing than the other thing.
Hollis, can you mute your mic? You're generating. Thank you.
Whoops. Um, but you could use those narratives in your section headers. Maybe not in your report, but more in your section headers be a better place for those. Um, and I'm going to say this part back down here. If this is a great tool if you are not the best writer, or you have, and I'm going to say I'm one of those people. All right, I'll come up with an idea, and the best way for me to get it out is just to kind of just blurt it all out onto the screen and all at once, and then go back and edit it. And the AI can be a great tool for taking all that information or those thoughts and making it into a coherent sentence or paragraph. And so that's a great principle of things for you to do. And you can do that both with your statements or with your social media. Some other examples here. Um, it's great for idea generation. It's going to give you a whole bunch of information. All right. Are you going to put all of this stuff in every blog post? No, that's too much. But we're going to take the electrical concerns and use this on grounded outlets as a example for doing this. And you can do this with anything else. You can say, what are 20 things that come up with, and plumbing or framing or whatever you want to pick for that. Maybe if you're doing social media posts, every month you have a different topic, and you can pick a different ones throughout the month. So December is going to be electrical, January is going to be plumbing. You get the idea. All right. And I just picked on grounded outlets here, or receptacles, as we go. Uh, Here were some other ones too that came up. So you can, it's great for coming up with all kinds of ideas. When I typed in what are 50, it kind of just listed the same, specific appliances over, so it said your blender, your dishwasher, and kind of had the same thing. Um, but I also got this down here. So, it knows I'm talking about home inspections because I've done it in the same thing over and over again. So, it keeps coming up with these statements, and some of them surprise me. If you purchase this home, it's important to have a home inspection. It's like, yes, somebody gets it, and have them repaired uh, before purchase. Uh, Here's another prompt. Write me a Facebook post about ungrounded receptacles. All right. Taking that ungrounded receptacles. So this is too big for a Facebook post. All right. People are going to lose after the first first sentence or two. Um, I also found, okay, so here are some signs that you may have ungrounded receptacles in your home. Your outlets only have two prongs. Yes. Your outlets are old and outdated. Yeah. That's a sign that they are. Your outlets are located in an area prone to moisture. That's not a sign that you have ungrounded receptacles. That's a case where you don't want ungrounded receptacles. So be very careful on what you write. Don't just paste it into your post. You have experienced electrical shocks, and when using your appliances or devices, it might not just be your ungrounded receptacles that you have a problem with if that's the case. Um, and you all know this, all right? I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know this stuff, um, but clients may not. Some of these are obvious to us, but so just be very careful with what you write. Um, Here's so some of this. Like I said, this is too big, so I told it to cut that down, make it shorter and more concise. Here is a better example. It's a little better. It's not totally better. Um, so I found that in the basement. So that kind of just made me think about that. You could use that as a picture to go with your post. All right. This paragraph, this is one big run-on sentence here in the middle. Okay. This is one of those times where if I wrote that, then I don't know how to get myself out of that sentence. All right. I wrote that sentence. I'm like, I want to include this information, but not. So we're going to use that. All right. Um, you can put that in there. Make the sentence to not be around. Even my prompt is bad grammar, but it got it. Okay. So here's my prompt, which was just cut and paste from the middle over here, and then it wrote that a little better for me. All right. There's a good tool for you to use the AI for. Um, yeah. All right. So here is the screen from Bard. Bard is a Google product, so you can sign in with your Google password and name. All right. A couple different things. Here's I was writing my using this to write the report. Okay, so you can take these prompts that it gives you, or you take the information you have, take the prompts, and if you don't like it, oh, let me go back up here. Sorry. Um, Refine your search. Okay. Don't always take exactly what it tells you the first time if you don't like it. You can tell it to do something better. Um, all right. All right, here's an example. All right. Uh, Write me a inspection report about the problems with polybutylene piping. Comes up with all this. That's too much. Make it a short paragraph so it kind of cuts out some of the extra fluff. Maybe you want to add a little bit about the class action lawsuit on that. Um, and there's it comes up with something that's a little bit shorter, and you could add those two things together pretty easily. So don't take exactly what it tells you. Get what you want out of it, and it might take a little work, it might take a little playing, and over time you will get better at what you need to do with that. Um, Here's another one. This is kind of go back to algebra there, and where does it uh, take our train? I'm sorry, having trouble scrolling up here. There you go. All right. Um, it came up with all this stuff, but you know what? It's wrong. All right. It's it knows a lot of information here. This really highlights that. It knows a lot of information, but it doesn't have any sense to it. All right. Um, I was asked to go, so it's going to be somewhere between Richmond and Philadelphia. Okay, it's going to meet you, and it gave me when I said what's the closest town, it gave me right out here the mall right up by my house, which is just the west end of Richmond. But I did think it was pretty cool that it drew me the map. I did the same exercise in Chat GPT. Um, and I did not get the same thing out of it. But it was very adamant that it's going to depend on which train you take, which route that takes, and it gave me a list of areas that are, I'm going to say are kind of in the middle. So without doing the math myself, it kind of gave me a place where the two lovebirds. Right. I started doing mold inspections, and so it helped me write some stuff for my report. All right. Start out with that. I collected a bunch of different stuff from around the web, and I put it all together and asked it to write me something that make that clean, concise. And I did that a couple of different times. All right, changed it here. Here's the different format. All right. So there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. In your report, in your opening paragraphs, different statements. All right. Um, oh, we talked about that. That was the other thing we talked about there. Wow, I blew through this. All right, here, write me a commercial. All right. Um, this was, I would say, is very basic. There's no, it's not fun. You'd have to add stuff to it. And I thought it was rather not only bland, but kind of misogynistic there, which I didn't like. And that's one of those things you're going to have to watch out for and think about. Um, the other thing I thought it was here, was it the first time? It was. Oh, the couple's in the living room. Plumber is fixing leaky faucet. There's no reason for they didn't mention why there's a leaky faucet in the living room, which I just kind of found funny. I mean, yes, there might be a bar there, but most people don't have leaky faucets in their living room. So just be careful what you write. Um, does anybody have any questions? I've got some time. I'm sorry I was very quick on this.
You also, when the thing starts spitting out dates like for lawsuits and stuff like that, you better double check it, because a couple lawyers just got busted for using AI to write their briefs, and it was putting in all kinds of erroneous information. You gotta follow up and make sure it's telling you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes out there and pulls out whatever information. I mean, so if if
Garbage
it's
in, garbage
pulling that
out.
wrong, yeah, the wrong information, you're going to be in trouble. Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Yeah, so Kevin, I train home inspectors, and I'm starting to experience this phenomenon. I've been watching these students get younger and younger year after year. It started out 25 years ago where the typical student was a 45-year-old construction worker whose knees were going bad, and now they're 25-year-old high school educated or even college educated, and with a very different attitude. And the class that's going on right now, they've started pulling this out, and it's like when I start talking about something, they're over there putting it into the Chat GPT and telling me, it's like they're very engaged. They're telling they're teaching me as I'm standing up there saying what I've been saying for 25 years, and now they're regurgitating this stuff back to me as though they knew it all, but all they're doing is just putting the language that I put, into a search and bringing it and regurgitating it right back to me. It's a little bit unnerving.
Yeah, it's it's a great tool. I think it's going to be how we use it, and hopefully the home inspectors can we all can use it in a good way. We can use it to really help us grow our business and not let it redefine it, I guess would be a good way to say what we're worried about. Or as we redefine it, we shape that redefinition.
Hey, Kevin, I got a question. Do you
Sure.
think that do you think it would be beneficial for all home inspectors in North America to submit examples of their reports for someone to verify the information and then put it into a pure database that we can pull from as individual home inspectors and stay out of the garbage in world?
I think that'd be really cool. Um, Problem with that is money. I mean, and I would say, hey, look, we can, yes, I know that this is information, good information. And if I put that in and you put good information in, you good information in, yeah, we're going to get that out. It's a lot better than a, just what pops up on Facebook. I'm just going to pick on, but whatever, where a homeowner that has an opinion puts it in. Um,
You're going to see that happen in all the report writing companies are going to be vetting all this stuff. And what's going to happen is the most trustworthy report companies are going to own those databases, and you know that's where you're going to go to for your truth. And some will come out as true, and some will come out as always making mistakes, and they will just fizzle out in the economic world.
yeah. Yeah, I mean the big problem is going to be the money. Who's gonna support that, supply that. I could see some place like Home Gauge or Home Inspector Pro, or one a couple of the big franchises, Pillar to Post or House on a Rock or somebody coming up with one of those type things and making that your um, there's your report. It accesses that. Um, you could take a picture of a electric panel and it can go through it. It can look for all these different things, but it's only going to know what it sees. It can pick out, hey, so I see cloth wire, I see, uh, scorch. I don't see uh, paste on aluminum wires. Oh, that looks like I see something that says Federal Pacific on it. Whatever it is, but it's got to be taught all that. Yeah, we can all send in our reports and say, hey, point these out. But that's still going to cost millions of dollars. But you could get a good checklist out of that if you get enough reports to look at enough problems.
I don't see a lot of
Picture.
I don't see a lot of inspectors wanting to share. I mean, we spent 6 months building our initial comment library, and I don't necessarily want to share all my labor that I put into that and put that out for everybody else to say, oh, I don't need to build a comment library. I can just download this one.
Right. Um, and a lot of the comment library, I mean, everybody writes differently. Um, everybody, I look at reports and, I write mine in the past tense. And so, I was there, I saw this at the time when I was there. Some people write it active. The electric is on fire. Or the breaker is damaged. So everybody's going to write it differently. I don't particularly like a lot of the canned comments from those. So from reports, but everybody's going to do their own thing, and you're going to pay for it. I mean, they're not going to. I can't imagine anybody would expect you to give up your hard work to and not get compensated for it in some way.
Well, all of the report writing companies are now going to where you sort of have to submit your reports to them, and they have all these libraries. And so all they have to do is curate from their top 100 inspectors, and they'll probably come up with that basic thing.
It's possible.
And it would be very easy to do. It wouldn't be a very hard thing to do at all.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's essentially what artificial intelligence is. It's kind of you think of it as a brain that can look through all this stuff, pick out the good stuff that you want from it, and be able to use that. Whereas, I've been, the models have developed over time. The first ones were like as smart as a worm. The second generation got a little bit smarter, so it's as smart as a grasshopper. I think they said this generation is about as smart as a dog. So
What do you see?
There's we can do.
What do you see as the future of AI?
I think it'll be an aid in the, I'm going to say in the next 20 years. All right. I see it more as an aid. I see it as a way to look at some very specific things and be able to pick those out. I don't think it's going to be in the house. Like I said, until we can get a droid that can hold a screwdriver and walk upstairs at the and carry a ladder without busting out the window or damaging the drywall going up the stairs, then that droid's not of any use.
I think
As
AI
an aid to help teach, it's great.
I think it'll play a role in 5 years. It'll dominate the whole industry. They'll have little cameras that you wear. You just wear and you just walk around, and it's picking up information left and right. And it's taking temperatures, barometric pressures, photographs. They'll have smell even built in these things by then, and it's going to take all this data. And it's, everywhere you look, everywhere you face, it's just going to be picking up information and data and assimilating it and reporting on anomalies and things, and then it'll probably go to some central place where there'll be a couple experts that can like answer questions that are where there's, questions about.
Verify. Yeah.
But all the standard stuff will be just piece of cake, and then the oddball stuff will be, and the good inspector will be the person that knows how to master the tools. It's not so much what's in his head, it's how well he uses his tools. And it's going to be a whole different world.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a possibility. I wonder how long. I do. And when is it going to be, when is there going to be enough intuition in it, or know, hey, if I see this, what else do I need to look for to get the information that I need?
Yeah, it'll be advising you too in a little earpiece, a water stain on the ceiling. Don't forget to check the attic, stuff like that, it's going to be, use your moisture meter, or just, water stain on the ceiling. Moisture level is 19%. It's going to be doing all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be amazing.
Yeah, it'll be giving you CO2 levels the whole time, and if there's a CO, an alarm will go off, and all that'll be happening off some little sensor on your lapel.
Yeah, right. It'll just be in your report. It'd be everywhere. It'll be on the internet somewhere. With your headquarters double checking things and stuff. It's weird. It's going to be amazing.
So, Kevin, don't feel a need to kill time here. Kenny's ready to go anytime. But okay. If anybody has any more comments or questions on this topic, I don't want to cut it short either. So, if people have, if we want to go any further, Kevin, if you have more, good. If anybody's got any questions or comments they want to throw in there, now's the time.
Kevin, I got a quick question for you, Kevin. Does it take into account like your region or your state, or do you have to tell it that? Like, I'm assuming that I'm in Minnesota, so if we're talking about insulation, we're gonna have a different discussion than if you live in, say, Alabama. Does it take that into account, or do you have to tell it, where you're at and what you want recommendations for?
I would definitely put in regional differences, because like you said, yeah, I mean, the way that you insulate a house in Minnesota and the way you insulate a house in Virginia or Florida are very different. So it will, if you ask it to, it will know the difference.
I think the takeaway for this whole presentation is for everybody that's listening to definitely try out AI, try Chat GPT, because it's really amazing. It's going to blow you away. And just try it, on your own comments, your own macros. Try it on your, just ask it questions when you're looking up stuff, and it's just amazing.
But don't believe everything it tells you.
Don't believe everything it tells you. It's not. It's gonna give you an amalgamation of what it's picking up on the internet. So you've got to use that caveat, But it's great for restructuring sentences and making you sound smarter in a lot of ways. It's really impressive.
So as we talk here, just doing that, came up with, I said, how much should I have in my attic? I live in Virginia. R38 was the standard. It's now 50. And, but it didn't tell me that. It is telling me if I live in Minnesota, R49. So, there is definitely regional differences, and it can tell you that. I'm signing Bard, which knows I live in Virginia.
One of the things that we learned taking another AI class is don't ask it for 4 responses. It will give you 4, even if it has to make up 2 of them. It will give you 4.
Good point.
Ask it for, a short number, or ask it to give you the sources or anything like that. But if you ask it, and this is where the lawyers got in trouble, ask it for a response about something that it doesn't know about, it will generate it for you. So you can't say, give me or give me 3, because it will give you what you ask for. And it may be total garbage.
Yeah.
What are the liability issues here, you think?
You're responsible for what's in your report. So if you ever if you write something erroneous and get sued, I don't think the judge cares if you wrote it with AI or if you wrote it yourself, and it'd be hard to prove it. Either way. And I would say you don't want to look like a fool online, and I would hope that you would have some professional integrity and really try to vet something that you do put online so that home inspectors in general don't look like idiots. Because, everybody's uncle knows better than we do.
Requesting the source of the information is an excellent suggestion.
Yeah. And I think you can do that.
Some of us know a lot, but we're not real good at explaining things. And I'm thinking that it could probably help a person with that kind of struggles like that. They understand it, but they're not very good at coming up with the explanation. So you ask it the question, it gives you the explanation, you proofread it, it's right, and say, that's what I'm trying to say. And now you can regurgitate that to your client, either in verbally or in writing.
Exactly. I mean, and I've done that a lot. It's not going to help you so much on identifying if it's, carpet or tile flooring, but it's going to help you with some of those upper level things, or if you're coming up with something. Yeah.